Hello again, everybody. Today we're going to be making our very first Ruby on Rails tutorial. So in order to get started, you first need to install Ruby. In order to do that, you can install it just by going to this website or typing in Google download Ruby. And then you can just go to the website and just download any version. It doesn't really matter which one to download. Uh, but once you have it downloaded, you can open up your terminal, and in order to sorry, this is taking a long time. In order to make sure that you have it downloaded, you can type in ruby-v, and it's going to display the version of your Ruby, and in my case it's 2.4.0. So now that we have Ruby installed, we can install Rails, and you just type in gem install Rails. I already have it installed, but not going to do it. But just press enter. It's going to run through some commands, and it's going to take a while to install. But after you have it installed, type in Rails-v, and if it displays the version of your Rails, then that means you're all set and you're ready to go. So in order to create a new Rails file, you have to type in Rails new, and we're gonna call this welcome. And it's gonna run, do some bundling. So after it's done, we're going to cd into the project we just created, and if we list everything we have, a bunch of crazy files. App is where our app is going to be. DB is where our database is. Gem file is just our where all our gems are, and gemfile.lock. Don't mess with it because your app is just gonna break. So after we have that, type in Rails S, and this should fire up the server. By default, it's running on port localhost 3000, but I'm just gonna change the port to 4567, just because I preference it that way. But my bad, sorry. But for you could just type in Rails S, and you should be able to go to localhost, copy this link, and then go to your browser and then type it in. In my case, it's 4567, but if you typed in localhost Rails S, then it would be Rails. Localhost 3000. I'm sorry. So if you see this thing right over here, you're on Rails. That means that you have everything running fine. So after that, in order to stop it, we just press Control C. So now we need to actually display something. So in order to display something, Rails, like most frameworks, runs through a model view controller. So what a model basically is where we store all of our data, and basically, like, we have like books, users, and then we would store all that in our models. And a controller is basically responsible for taking that data and displaying it to the view, and it mostly glues your models, your views, providing good user interaction. So that's like in a nutshell. You can learn more about what a controller is online, but basically a controller is just a glue between models and views. So Rails will generate a controller for you, and then the name of their controller, I'll just call it welcome. So now it's going to install it, and then if we open up Atom in your directory, I'm using Linux, don't mind this, it's just a project I'm working on. If you are on Windows, then find the project that you are working on. I personally don't recommend using Rails on Windows, just because many gems tend to not install properly on Windows. So now over here we have welcome controller. So each controller is supposed to have an action, and an action will just basically something that we want to be displayed in the view. For example, like we want to have a create action, a delete action, an edit action, basically a delete action, right? So we have def index. I'm just gonna name this index, but if we had some data, we would put all of our data over here that we want to display to our index view. So now, in order to create a view, you go to app, and then views, then in your welcome controller, you type in a new file, and then you would name it index.html.erb. So in here, you would type in hello world, just like that. So now we have a controller when we have a view. So now we need to do what's called routing. So in our config, in our routes over here, so what a route basically is think of a route just like a map for handling your request that tells each request where to go based on its patterns, I suppose. So like in order to set a default route for your home page, you would type in root and then the name of your controller, which is welcome, and then hash and then index. So this is going to be our route to our welcome controller. There's also other ways to do it. You could do get, and then this is basically just saying that this is like the localhost 3000. So this would also work. No, my bad. Hash. Sorry. Yeah, and then index. This would also work. Every time we want to link to another page, we always have to put a proper routing to it. So if we had like, for example, a link to if we had like another controller and we would want to like put a route to it, like for example we had like a book controller and we wanted to display like the ID, in here we would go book get book / ID, just like that. And that, if we would have a book controller and we would need to like hook it up to book, just like that. And then books, like for example if we would have like if we would have like an index HTML for our book controller, then we could pretty much do the same thing for like here, and then we would just type in book and then slash and the name of our view. For example, like we want to show it, yeah, just like that. And then this Ruby Rocket would go over here. Yeah. Nope, not like that, sorry. Like this, yeah. Just like that. So, yeah, like over here, as you can see. And this is like our, so like over here would be like the link of like where we would want it to go. So like for example slash show, and this would be equal to books show. So in this case we do not have a book controller, but if we did, and we would navigate to the name of our controller, book, and then slash show, we would get the show HTML page for all of our posts, books. So now that we have this saved, we could make some other stuff, but I don't think it's necessary. So now that we have this saved, we can fire up our server just like that. And then if we reload the page, we should see our beautiful message saying hello world. So there we go. Just like that, we can create another one called, like, for example, I don't know, greeting, and then ends, and then in our view we would create another file called greeting.html.erb, like so, and then over here just display some message. Oh my god, hello, just like that. And then in our routes you would have to define it like so. Get slash, I suppose, greeting, and then would equal to the greeting controller, and then slash my bad. This would be welcome, because welcome is the name of our controller, and then greeting is what we want to go to, just like that. So if we now save the page, and if we would navigate to localhost 3000/greeting, we would see this page right over here. So just like that, and then we see hello over here, because over here we have hello, and this again, once again, this is welcome/greeting. This is like a map to tell our requests where to go. So like we have a greeting over here, and then we have a greeting view, we have a greeting controller, and then we have a greeting view, and then we have a route that is, this is defining the URL. So this is like the localhost 3000/greeting, and then this is like equal to the welcome controller, and then /greeting, which is the greeting HTML. So once again, in order to create a Ruby file, you first need to create a controller. By doing that, you could type in Rails gcontroller, and then you could you make a view, and then you route them in your routes. So thank you for watching. I hope you liked my video, and don't forget to subscribe.